Hey guys and gals, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be responding to
Only one person can get you out of depression, and that is you.
her. Let's get into it, shall we? What did she say again?
Only one person can get you out of depression, and that is you.
Technically, if you want to think of it as the fact that all the effort and motivation to get you out of depression are going to have to come from you, but that doesn't mean that other people can't help you. Things like trained medical professionals and medication are used by people with depression for a pretty good reason, and that's because they work. Sure, it's not 100%, as not everyone responds well to therapy, and not everyone responds well to antidepressants, but generally, they do a pretty good job of helping people recover.
It's all in your head.
Well, it's not going to be in their arm, is it? Again, you technically aren't wrong, but you're not wholly right either. Depression isn't the result of just a chemical imbalance in the brain, so peddling it as that is just wrong. There doesn't seem to be a single cause of depression, nor does anything seem to have 100% certainty that will cause you to go into depression, but there are various factors that can increase your chances of developing depression during your life. Examples are things such as genetics, a traumatic experience, a history of abuse, and illnesses.
Look at our lives! We have amazing technology. Grocery stores full of food.
So, technology ain't going to make a difference for a depressed person, and it can't stop you from going into depression either. Depression is the most common mental health issue worldwide, and if you actually look at a map of depression rates worldwide, first world countries have lower rates of depression than third world countries, so if anything, technology lowers rates of depression.
And yet we are the most depressed that humans have ever been in the history of the world.
Huh. Now there's an interesting claim. Is humanity the most depressed now than it has ever been in the history of the world? Also, you kind of negated your previous point that people shouldn't be depressed because of modern technology. Anyway, back to your main point. I couldn't find anything to prove or disprove that people are more depressed now than ever, because depression was first recorded in Mesopotamia around 2 millennium BC and was attributed to evil spirits. Naturally, no census or statistics were taken back then on the rates of depression. The opinion on depression did not improve much until Hippocrates, an ancient Greek doctor that believed that depression was caused by an imbalance in the body, specifically by there being too much black bile in the spleen. However, there was still no census conducted on the rates of depression, at least none that survived, and later in early Christianity, all the way until the Middle Ages, blamed mental health issues on demons, so of course, no accurate data was recorded on the rates of depression. However, there is credit in the statement that depression rates have increased in recent years, with 10 times more people being diagnosed with depression than in 1945. However, I am going to personally put this down due to depression being more easily diagnosed and it being more common.
And scientists have concluded after decades of studies that they have no idea why antidepressants work on some people and not on other people.
Actually, we do. While it's true our understanding of depression isn't 100%, and research is still going on, the reason antidepressants don't work for everyone is because the chemicals that are involved with depression is no small amount. Many chemicals are involved, working both inside and outside nerve cells, with there being millions, even billions of chemical reactions that make up the dynamic system that is responsible for your mood, perceptions, and how you experience life. With this level of complexity, you can see how two people might have similar symptoms of depression, but the problem on the inside, and therefore what treatments will work best, may be entirely different. So, as you can see, the reason antidepressants don't work for everyone is that as there are so many factors and chemical reactions involved, it's going to be extremely hard to make a medication that works for everyone on an illness that is so varied in its possible root causes and factors. Christ, she's doing my head in. How far are we into this video? Someone could kill me. As now I'm getting through this whole video, is there? Whatever.
You idiot, it's genetic. Nope. It was proven at Harvard that only 10% of our long-term happiness has anything to do with external factors, such as genetics, how you were raised, or what's going on at work.
Harvard, you say? That's interesting, because I couldn't find that study anywhere, and I even had a few of my friends looking for it as well. It would have been a lot easier if you had cited your sources in your description, but you haven't. Look, if you're going to say stuff like this, at least have the honesty and integrity to tell people where you got your information from. It's stuff like that makes you think you don't actually believe what you're saying, or you're just making it up. A goal of gene research is to understand how biology makes certain people vulnerable to depression. For example, several genes influence the stress response, leaving us more or less likely to become depressed in response to trouble. A person who has a first-degree relative who suffered major depression has an increase in risk for the condition of 1.5% to 3% over normal. While that doesn't sound like a lot on paper, when you consider that millions of people suffer from depression, then genetics becomes a compelling factor. Also, 90% of your happiness is determined by factors like gratitude. Seems high, but I'll get that in a bit. You see, temperament also shapes your behaviour. Temperament, for example, how excitable you are, or whether you tend to withdraw from or engage in social situations, is determined by your genetic inheritance and by the experiences you've had during the course of your life. Some people are able to make better choices in life once they appreciate their habitual reactions to people and to life events. You develop your viewpoint early on and learn to automatically fall back on it when loss, disappointment or rejection occurs. For example, you may come to see yourself as unworthy of love, so you avoid getting involved with people rather than risk losing a relationship. Or you may be so self-critical that you can't bear the slightest criticism from others, which can slow or block your career progress. Now, let's go back to that 90-10 idea. That's wrong. There isn't really a nice way to put it, I'm afraid. It's just plain wrong. You see, happiness is a complex area, but even early studies didn't divide it as much as 90-10. Happiness is more likely split 50-50 between genetics, which you can't control, and the circumstances you're in and your internal state of mind, which you can control. This is by no means a perfect model, as the figures, which to be more exact are 50% genetics, 10% life circumstances, and 40% your internal state of mind, so your actions, attitude, and optimism, reflect variance in happiness rather than actual happiness. This means that genetic factors, or the presence of heritable personal traits, can explain about 50% of the difference in happiness levels between two people. It means that if one person scores a 7 out of 10 and another person scores an 8, 50% of that 1 point difference could be due to genetic traits. That is not the same as saying that for a person that scores 8, half of their level of happiness, or 4 points, are due to genetics. So there is nothing conclusive, but it's certainly not as high as 90-10. I'm nearly done here, because her voice began to grate on me and those jump cuts she does are going to give me a bloody seizure. So I'll look at one more claim.
You're depressed because you stopped listening to yourself.
No. I've already ran through the causes of depression and happiness, and it's not as simple as listen to yourself and you'll be happy. There is a ton of factors that contribute to a person's overall happiness and their chances of falling into depression. Also, what if someone's just gone through a horrific event, like their lifelong partner has died and they've gone into depression afterwards? Are you going to tell them they just need to think happier? It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid.
Positive habits. Science confirms that these following things will help you defeat, treat, and get out of depression. Exercise!
I actually agree about this. Exercise can make you happier. The first thing you might think of when it comes to exercise and depression is what's commonly known as runner's high, and this describes the release of endorphins that your brain experiences when you physically exert yourself. Endorphins are a type of neurotransmitter or chemical messenger and they help relieve pain and stress. Endorphins are only one of many neurotransmitters released when you exercise, and physical activity also stimulates the release of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, which all play important roles in regulating your mood.
Compliment people. You automatically feel good when you see their reaction of feeling good.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Giving people genuine compliments will make you feel better as well.
Cheer for people.
Isn't that the same as complimenting them? It's at least in the same vein as it. But I get what you're trying to say. Be happy for others and you'll be happy yourself. But it doesn't work like that if you're depressed. Then seeing someone else's happiness and success could be detrimental to your health rather than beneficial.
The decision to not be depressed anymore, which, by the way, it's a decision.
Wait, did you just say depression is a choice? Wow, there is so much wrong with that statement. I refer you to literally everything I've said previously in this video about factors contributing to overall happiness, factors increasing the chances of developing depression that are out of your control, and life experiences that are out of your control as well, such as losing a loved one. Also, if depression was a choice, no one would have it because no one wants to be depressed.
Step 3. Find something to be excited about.
Another bit of good advice. Yeah, I would recommend trying to find something that would make you happier, even if it's something small like a cup of tea. It doesn't have to be huge like going rock climbing. Baby steps, people. I'm getting a very anti-medication and pro-self-help vibe from this video, and there's nothing wrong with trying to beat depression on your own, but you shouldn't be ashamed to ask for help from your doctor, your family, your friends. Most see asking for help as a sign of weakness, but it really isn't. There's nothing weak about recognizing when you need help. Nicole, you have, at its core, a good message, and there are parts I really agree with, but it's bogged down in too much hate for medication and false information about depression that it gets lost. So, I appreciate what you were trying to do, but I think you went about it the wrong way, and could have done some more research to polish it off, as well as leaving a personal bias towards medication out of it. Alright guys, I'm going to end this video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you thought in the comments. If you really like my content, please support me on Patreon, as I'd love to up production value of my videos. If you want me to respond to anything, or if you have a particular topic that you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments, and I'll get to it when I can. Alright, thanks guys, and I'll see you all next time.